Hey everyone, welcome to No Filters. I'm Rhonda, warts and all. Tonight I'm going to talk about the media. This is not necessarily a political post, but in this political era that we're in, it has become a lot more important, I think. 10 years ago, no, back in 2010, 12, so 14 years ago, wow, we canceled our cable, local channels, and everything. The primary reason was twofold. One, our daughter was watching Disney, and a lot of the shows on Disney featured smart-ass little kids talking to non-existent parents, and it just was just cheap, crappy ick. And we just decided we didn't need that idea planted in our young daughter's head. So the other reason was the local channels, the shows were available, later on Netflix. We could stream them, which was a whole new thing. And the local news channels operated under if it bleeds, it leads. And I don't need that. I don't need that. We don't need that in our lives. The weather was never accurate because we live in Arkansas and it's bipolar weather down here. So layer and take an umbrella. And I don't really care about sports. No, we were not sports people. We were band people, still are. So anyway, we got rid of all of that. However, I did subscribe to some news lists, some emails, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, the Boston Globe, because I love the Spotlight series because that team is amazing, exposing everybody. So we were good. Anything we needed to hear locally, we would hear locally anyway. Fast forward to now. I subscribed to the New York Times until about 4 months ago. I did not subscribe to the LA Times, but I got their emails. I still subscribe to the Boston Globe and get some really good newsletters and emails from that. I do not subscribe to the Washington Post any longer. And I'll tell you why. Because for every article or word that is uttered online, and a soundbite included, always video and audio, they give 50 to him, and sometimes they give none to Vice President Harris. I was given an idea today of why that is. Well, let me back up a little bit. The Washington Post refused to endorse a candidate for the first time in decades. The LA Times did just a while back, refused to endorse a presidential candidate. This is not how our modern times are. And because of that, I began to really think about the media. The mainstream media, which is what we would call ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, all of the newspapers and things that I just mentioned, and including my beloved NPR, are afraid. They're afraid that he will get elected and he will come after them. And that is unacceptable in a land of free press. If you are the free press, you give the same amount of time, inches, audio, video to both sides of the equation, especially if you're going to quote every lie he tells. And I'd like to thank NPR for actually using the word lies. If you're going to proclaim every lie he tells, give it airtime, then for God's sakes, give her time to show her policies, to show her personality, to show the joy that she brings to the American people. My opinion, yes, but I'm right, just between you and me. The thing is that he's a media darling. He vomits words and they just scoop it up. I heard a quote today that really resonated with me. He is lawless, but she has to be flawless. This is not a fair situation, and our press should be all over that, but they're not. So I've given up on all of the mainstream media, and now I get my news from creators like me, like you. I've got a list of them. Jess Craven, Hawkeye, you know, Tennessee guy, whatever, I forget his name. You know, there are so many of them that do the legwork. They attend meetings. They go and listen to speakers of both sides. They talk about voting. They talk about where they are and what's happening. You know, polls, remember polls? That's another thing. It's just the media talks about polls all the time, but get this, polls are based on people who have voted in other presidential elections. Think of the unprecedented number of new voter registrants we've had this year. That's important. They won't be included in any poll. So I just think the media has given us a very distorted view, because if it bleeds, it leads, right? If it's entertaining, it'll sell newspapers and ad space, which is a real hassle reading through some of these articles. So anyway, that's my opinion. I love my content creators, and I'm sorry I got your names all wrong, but they're good. And I hope that you can, you know, think outside the box a little bit and don't get swayed by the big, you know, media outlets that have always been the leaders and all this. Walter Cronkite is gone. Peter Jennings is gone. All the great men who used to give us impartial news are gone. It's up to us now. Do your research, post your content, and I'll look at it. Maybe share it. If you like my content, please like, share, follow, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.